So maybe we'll get into the meters. I mean, the equipment they actually use.
Yep.
Yeah. If you could just sort of, what do you think the most necessary tool would be if a group were wanting to start off?
Yep. To me, my most necessary bit of equipment would be, I'd definitely say, a voice recorder, so you can actually get an electric voice phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Any recorder will do it. These days, mobile phones have got great recorders on.
Yeah.
You can use anything from them to a dictaphone right through to high technical microphones that you use in recording studios. But to basically start to get into it is any sort of recording device, and basically an EMF meter and a video camera.
Okay. So what is electromagnetic field as EMF?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm just checking for anyone that's watching.
The K2 meters that we use, or that you hear people refer to as EMF meters. They'll just basically pick up a electromagnetic field. So they'll basically register when there's a change in the magnetic field in the environment.
Mm.
It's believed that spirits manipulate this. There's a belief that when you do get communication or a spike on it, that's a spirit in your presence. With this equipment, it's one of the main things we use when we actually go to do an investigation, or the first time we go through a house, we actually do what we call a sweep.
Okay.
And we go through and look for any electrical interference, or if there's a certain area that's got high EMF in it. It could be like a natural EMF that's coming from overhead power lines, or could be coming from a fuse box in a house that's very close to a wall, so it'll give a false reading on it. So we basically note down with this equipment as to what we're getting as a false reading, and then we know we don't go into this corner or we don't go into that hallway, because that's going to give us a false reading.
Okay. Do you is there like a simple, could you just shut off the main power to the house?
You can, but even when you've got your main power shut off, you're still going to have, if you had an interference, you're still going to have that come through into the wall. So the EMF meters are specifically designed to pick up electrical interference.
Okay. That's I guess that makes it a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
But so I guess, would that be the most expensive tool?
They're probably the cheapest.
The EMF meters. Okay, I guess like every maybe tradie needs them when they're. Who exactly uses EMF?
Electricians use them a lot. They use them to read power faults and stuff. They're also used to nuclear technicians. They'll actually use them to pick up on whether or not there's leaks in nuclear energy through radiation plants and stuff like that.
Okay.
A lot of it is also for basically microwave frequencies, so people will actually use an EMF to see how much interference is in their house, because there's the belief that that electromagnetic fields cause cancer or brain tumours, and all sorts of belief with them. It's like with the mobile phones, that the more you use it, the more chance you've got of developing cancer.
Yeah.
So you actually get people that'll buy them and walk around their house to see where they've got high areas of EMF.
Yeah, don't put your head there.
Yeah, which I guess is sort of no weirder than what it is when we walk around with them to see if there's a ghost in the house. So,
of course. Do you know how? I've always been curious. Like, it seems like a valid as any other device to use when you're searching for paranormal activity. But the idea of the EMF, was that just a device that people had back then, and they decided, might give us something?
I believe it was just a device that was developed to pick the interference in the normal electromagnetic energy in the air. Because everywhere, basically, there is small amounts of EMF. And through people doing ghost hunting and through the development over the years, they've realised, well, hang on, this is picking up stuff that it shouldn't be picking up, and this is responding to me asking it to light up a certain colour, or for it to stop lighting up a certain colour. So they've just basically realised that it's a tool they can use for communication.
Okay, I see. Do you know when it was? was it when was it first used?
The EMF meters, I believe, probably early 90s, but don't quote me because I could be wrong.
No, that's fine. I'm just curious.
The actual I guess art of paranormal investigations been going since basically the 4th century when people first picked up a pendulum and started using it for communication. So it's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Oh, okay. So that was the first tool used, a pendulum.
Pendulums were some of the first communication tools that we used in communication with spirits.
Wow.
And then over the years we've had developments in science, and then you've had your Frank's box, like your spirit box, which was developed, I believe, back in 1930s, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Again, sorry, I don't
No,
know the
that's
exact date,
fine.
but it was a good 100 years ago. There were still experiments going on in communication, and then these day and ages we've come right through in developments where there's actually a device called a millimeter, which is like similar to a K2 meter, but it's like a digital display on it, so it'll give you a digital reading of what the EMF is, and it'll also do temperature, and it'll also do proximity. So if something come up, touched it, it'll actually alarm and let you know what's there and that something's going off. And that was actually developed and tested in a lab, so it's actually been tested by scientists and is one of the only bits of paranormal equipment that even had scientists in the lab stumped as to why it does what it does.
Do they know what? When like something that you said comes to like it interacts with it, it touches it. Do they know like what phenomena the sensor is meant to read?
Yeah, it's basically picking up on, like with the millimeter, it's picking up on changes in the temperature and the EMF in the environment. So it's basically saying that something's come up that's cold, that's not the same as the outside temperature, and the EMF has completely changed. So it's not normal anymore. It's gone to a higher level of electromagnetic field than what was there previously to it. So it's basically just registering the air in front of it and going, well, this is like a person coming up and putting their hand on top of it. So if you, with some of the equipment that we use, especially with the proxy sensors, if you come up and put your hand on it, it'll indicate and it'll light up and it'll go off because you've put your basic static of your body, which your electromagnetic field, onto it, and you've changed the temperature of the object, so you've made it warmer.
Okay.
So what we find is if a spirit's touching it, the temperature will drop. Most of the time will drop. Sometimes if it's a strong spirit, the temperature could spike and go up. We've had a very strange reading of temperature where in the space of 3 minutes on a tour, we've had the temperature go from minus 20.1 degrees to 78 degrees on a millimetre. And I mean, that's something that you'd seriously notice. And we're in a room full of guests in an old church, and we had that witnessed by 15 people, and we just could not explain that.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Do you ever think it could just be a malfunction of it?
It could be, but the equipment that we use is basically maintained. Every time we go to do a tour, it's got fresh batteries in it. It operates on battery power. Most of them the devices these days you plug into a laptop and you can download your readings on it, and they'll also tell you if there's a fault on it.
Oh, right. Okay.
For the equipment to malfunction, basically you'll know about it when it's happening. If it did malfunction, it'd be malfunctioning all the time. When we turn most of the stuff on, it does a self-test on it. So it'll basically self-test itself, give you a reading, and then reset, and then it's right to use.
Okay. So there's like a little calibration type of
Yeah,
thing?
pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because we use a variety of different stuff. So it's all the stuff we use has got different functions, and it's got different tests that it runs on itself and that. I mean, we even use FLIR cameras, which is your infrared heat cameras. These are used by plumbers to find leaks in buildings.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right. So it'll just be cold. I'll see it.
Yep, it'll tell you cold, or it'll tell you hot, and it'll actually come up in the actual colour grid, and it'll actually show you. What we use these for is it'll actually show you an apparition. So basically, it'll show you a spirit. It'll also show you if you were inside a building and somebody's walked across the floor, it'll leave a heat signature on it, and it'll actually show you footsteps. And some of the places we do, we've taken it in and we've had people sitting on a bed, and then they've felt something come and sit beside them. They've put the thermal camera there and looked, and there's been a heat signature beside them on the bed where no one was sat.
Okay, a cold, or just some sort of.
But just an actual heat signature to say that something has actually made contact with it and then got up and left.
Wow. Okay. Have you seen that stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that was from like another group or something, but
No,
so that's some stuff that
in ours, but we use this equipment all the time. So we're forever. We just did a tour last weekend at Goodness Cemetery.
Okay.
During the tour, I've actually wandered off with the FLIR camera, and I still haven't gone back through the footage yet because I've had a busy week. But as I was looking up towards the crematorium, I could see two shapes on the FLIR camera, and they were both moving. And there was a tree which was registering the heat of the tree, and from the side of it, it looked like something popping out and popping back in, and then it registered onto another figure that looked like it was moving as well on the side.
And are they like significant temperature changes? Because I mean, like, I've never used one.
For me, I like it to be as significant. If it's 1 or 2 degrees, that's explainable. You can walk into a building and you can have the front of the building be anywhere to 3 to 4 degrees hotter than what the back of the building's going to be. But when you start getting drops in temperature up near the 8 to 10 degree mark, it's a pretty significant drop in temperature.
Okay.